I don't even know how to read this headline, so I'll read it. Presented without comment. How's that? That's what they say on Twitter. Buccaneers quarterback Jameis Winston has reached a settlement with the woman who said he groped her in an Uber vehicle, according to court records obtained by ESPN. The process will be completed in approximately 10 days. It's a headline. I don't know what to do with it, but it's news. Matt Barrows will join us.
That whole thing was a headline? That's a super long
No, dude,
headline.
honestly, you know what the headline? The headline on ESPN, Bucks Winston, Uber driver, settle groping case. That's the headline. That is the exact headline written. I don't know if you saw Jeopardy yesterday. Probably not. The category was predictions by 2030. And the $600 clue was, as of 2018, this NFC North team had never even made the Super Bowl, much less won it. But by 2030, gotta happen, right?
Who is the Detroit Lions? Who are the Detroit Lions?
We'll accept both. Who are the Detroit Lions? That is absolutely correct. Kyle, the board is yours.
I'll take predictions for 2030, Alex.
Predictions by 2030. They haven't yet, but at some point, they've got to reach number one in the Arbitron ratings by 2030. I'm sorry, we ran out of time. The correct answer is, what is the drive on KHTK? Before we get to Matt's ready, by the way, Kyle. Before we get to Matt Barrows of The Athletic, I haven't said it in a while. I'll say it again, whether you get tired of it or not. I was thinking about this last night when I was writing the show on behalf of Kyle Madson and Eunice and all of us. Just want to thank all of you. Yes, Kyle.
I just wanted to, before we thank everybody.
Yeah, before we thank everybody.
I just wanted to let you know that it's 8:06 and Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money.
Money.
Dave, back to you.
Back to me. Well, you know, and that segues perfectly into what I was going to say. There are podcasts, there are music stations, there are other talk stations, there is silence. There are so many different things that all of y'all could be listening to on your way into work, home from work, at home, at work, wherever you may be, or even on the podcast later today. Your time is valuable. We respect it and we appreciate it. And although we go back and forth and we talk some garbage here and there and do whatever, the fact of the matter is that we are all able to support or almost support our families because we get to come in and talk sports and goofiness every day for 3 hours. I never take it for granted. I've lost my job before here. I got it back, and I will likely lose it again because that is the way radio works. But I did just want to say, and I try to say it at least once every couple months, we appreciate you so much for tuning in each and every morning, and we value each and every one of you, except that one texter that I don't like very much, and that's the Jiffy Lube text line at 441140. The Firewings hotline is at 1-800-920-1140. Want to remind you, Jiffy Lube and the Sac Republic sponsor our videocast, which you can check out at khtk.com, top of the screen if you're on a desktop, middle of the screen if you are on a phone or a tablet, and also check us out as well. Our podcasts up each and every day at khtk.com, quicker than any other podcast on any other sports show in the country. Joining us right now, I was reading a nice article yesterday about The Athletic, and those of you that listen know that I am what the kids call a stan for The Athletic, and I'll make it very clear because I've had a lot of questions about this. I have to date made exactly $0.00 from The Athletic. I don't endorse them. They are not a sponsor of mine. We do enjoy guests like Matt and Sam and a few others from The Athletic, but I love the model. I love good journalism. I love that they have innovated in the subscription model what they do, and the amount of talent and friends of mine that they have given opportunities to get paid. I don't think anybody gets paid what they're worth, but to get paid well enough to keep doing it when so many newspapers and so many websites are going out of business. I read an article yesterday about their business model and raising money and other places getting upset at them for poaching, and I absolutely love it. The two co-founders, it was a good bio on them, and I'm glad that guys like Matt Barrows are in a good place that respect and value the tremendous coverage he does each and every week of the San Francisco 49ers. Joining us right now from this side of the train tracks, the one, the only Matthew Barrows. Hey, buddy.
Hey, we at least have to give Dave a T-shirt for that intro. I mean, I know you're not making any money, but you at least get some swag out of that.
I'm surprised that they haven't. That the T-shirt, I see them out there. In fact, I know over the Christmas or the Thanksgiving break, they had a trial thing and a half-off deal and all that. I'll have you know, Matt, I've had my subscription well over a year. And I know you're not customer service, but here you are. I pay full price. I pay full price every month.
No gear, no T-shirts, no hoodies, nothing.
No.
All right, we've got to fix that. What is? I'm writing this down. I got a pen. What is Dave's T-shirt size?
Fat. So look for the tag with the F on the back.
XF. Okay, got it. All right, good.
Extra fat.
But I will say, unlike 99.9% of athletic readers, I get something even more valuable than a T-shirt, a hat, or a hoodie. I get to interview some of the most talented. See what I did there? Some of the most talented writers.
There you go. That's the gift that keeps on giving.
And, you've been earning your money and then some this season, Matt. What we thought at the beginning of the year was going to be quite the fun year for the 49ers has turned into, I don't know if disaster is the right word, but not a fun year. I'm going to ask you something I asked Kyle, who also dabbles in writing from time to time about the Niners. I'm going to ask you the same question. If Jerick McKinnon and Jimmy Garoppolo had been healthy all season, I won't ask you exactly how much, but do you think we're having a completely different conversation about the Niners at this point of the year?
It's a very good question because he wasn't playing very well. I mean, he was playing fine in those first three games, but it wasn't like the end of last season. And I just wonder whether this year it takes a while for a quarterback to really learn the system. You even saw that with Matt Ryan in Atlanta, and I just wonder whether this year was going to be the year where they said, okay, we're going to take our lumps. Jimmy Garoppolo might, not be great in the first half of the season, but by the second half, you start to see some momentum there, and it's all building towards 2019. So, I mean, that's what I think would have happened. I think there would have been some bad games. Do they beat the Los Angeles Rams, or do they get blown out even with Jimmy Garoppolo in there? My point is that they were always gearing up towards 2019, and I just wonder whether, with Garoppolo getting injured this year, whether we've lost a whole season and whether we're going to have to go through those slings and arrows, the stumbles, what they were expecting this year, again next year, because he just didn't have this year to kind of get that out of his system.
Now, this is, I guess, one of the good problems of the many bad problems that the 49ers have or will have, but going into next year, and Matt, again, I know you don't have a crystal ball and so many different things could happen, but if everything stayed the same, do you see a situation where Jerick McKinnon and Matt Breida could coexist, I don't know, for lack of a better example, like Kamara and Ingram with the Saints? Could that be the model they go after?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that Atlanta's 2016 season with Coleman and Devontae Freeman is another example of that. Mm-hmm. I think you'll see that. I mean, if you're looking for silver linings, I mean, I think that Matt Breida in the running game in general is probably the biggest one that you can kind of salvage from the wreckage that is this season. And I think that's a big deal. I mean, being able to run the ball, that's going to help Jimmy Garoppolo in the passing game quite a bit. And I think Breida has been a real revelation this year. I mean, he's not just fast; he's proven to be tough too, and he breaks tackles and he can run inside and he can run outside. I think it's just going to be a nice tandem next year. I will caution that. These ACL injuries, everybody says, it'll take a year for the guy to be back. That might be true technically, but it seems like it's a year and a half before they're truly back. So I'm not sure we can count on Jerick McKinnon being the Jerick McKinnon they envisioned in free agency this past year when the regular season begins in 2019. I think there'll be some warm-up period that he needs to have. There's going to be ancillary issues, hamstring, calf, you go through the whole gamut. You see that with Richard Sherman. You see that with Malcolm Smith, two guys that missed basically all of last season. There's there's a warm-up period that guys who miss an entire year with an injury have to have.
Matt Barrows joining us almost 10 minutes into the interview. I got to get to it, though. Reuben Foster, the big news over the weekend. Number of questions for you about that, but let's just start off on the field. How exactly do they go about replacing him?
Well, they've already replaced him in one way in Fred Warner. And remember when they drafted Foster back in 2017, the idea was that he was going to be their Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker, the guy that organizes everything, really the centerpiece of the defense. That changed over the year, and they moved him to the weak side linebacker. But they did draft Fred Warner in the third round this year, and he's become the Mike linebacker that they wanted Reuben Foster to be. It's very funny. I guess it's every Friday, Reuben Foster would speak to the media, and there would be a big gaggle of reporters. All the cameras would be on one side of the locker room listening to Reuben Foster, and on the other side, nobody would be talking about or talking to Fred Warner, a very quiet guy, very studious guy, in a lot of ways the opposite of Reuben Foster. And really, it's been Fred Warner who's had the really good season this year, and Foster has struggled. So I hope people will start to appreciate Fred Warner and maybe give him a little bit more attention that is due him. But he's been the guy at that Mike linebacker spot. So the question really becomes, who's the weak side linebacker of the future? And I don't think the 49ers have that guy on the roster right now.
Do you think that they prioritize trying to find that will linebacker through the draft or in free agency, or do you think they stick with Malcolm Smith and Elijah Lee for now?
Well, Malcolm Smith is going to be due a lot of money next year. They signed him to a big free agent contract last year, of course, and frankly, he hasn't been worth the money. I mean, he was injured all year last year with a pectoral tear, sort of a freak injury, and this year he's been dealing with, it turns out, tendinitis in his Achilles tendon, which is ominous. So I'm not sure that he's even going to be on the team next year. Elijah Lee has played well, but I think you still need to bolster that position. I don't know whether the 49ers want to go with youth when you already have a young guy in Fred Warner. Fred Warner just turned 22 the other day. He's the youngest player on their roster. So not just a productive player, but a young one. It's a good question. I think they may end up doing both. Maybe bring in somebody via free agency, and then use one of those middle round draft picks. They only have 5 this year on an inside linebacker.
Matt Barrows of The Athletic with us. And there's more on-field questions. But let's go off-field now. Obviously, this is a terribly sad story, first and foremost, for the alleged victim, for a guy like Reuben Foster, who has so much talent, so much potential, and we've seen this in different story with a guy like Aldon Smith, different things that go on, wasted talent for off-field situations, and that's a different conversation, Matt. But the one that's going around this week that I struggle with, did the 49ers wait too long? And Matt, I struggle, and I'd love your insight, because I don't necessarily know if they could have done anything differently the last go around when you have the alleged victim recanting the story, going on record. I think it's easy in hindsight to say they screwed up and they were insensitive. I just don't know if that's the proper narrative.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to say that they did everything right. I mean, I don't want to sound like a homer, but I agree with you. I don't see how they could have done anything differently. I think, there was so much. Even after all of those hearings that we sat through, court hearings with Reuben Foster and Alyssa Ennis, his ex-girlfriend, I never got the sense that we found out the truth of that matter. I mean, there was just so much drama and so much he said, she said. So much, is she lying initially? Is she lying about lying? What the real story is. There was just a lot of emotion, a lot of drama, and it's clear that he never extricated himself from that relationship like he told the team that he would. I mean, it was obviously a destructive relationship. Nothing good was going to come of that, and that was a dead end. And he was told that. He was told that by his teammates, by everyone around him. He just could not get himself away from it, and that was the reason why the 49ers parted ways with him. Not for what may or may not have happened in the hotel room. It was that he wasn't able, and this was the theme. He needed to part ways with his past and his habits, most of them destructive, that he brought with him from his youth and from the University of Alabama. And you can sympathize with his upbringing, and a lot of his teammates do. But at some point, you've got to have the strength to remove yourself from that. And they gave him a lot of opportunities to do that, and he just didn't. And that's why he's no longer on the team.
Matt Barrows, The Athletic, with us. Matt, I like Marquise Goodwin a lot, and he missed the game over the weekend due to a personal matter, and as has been well chronicled, he's had some tragedy in his life, and you hope everything's okay with him. I also find myself caring about him as an individual beyond the field because I've fallen in love with how he plays and how he carries himself. And I haven't asked you this question all season, but I did ask you last year. He has a history of concussions. And this year, I've seen him more than once look to get up and be woozy. I know there was a concussion or a alleged. I'm not sure if they officially diagnosed it as a concussion or not a couple games ago. Is there much talk about his concussion history and worrying about his future and whether or not he should continue, or is it just business as usual with him?
I think there is talk, and I think there is concern, as there well should be. He's been adamant that despite all of those hits and all of those what seemed to you and me like obvious concussions, that he hasn't had very many. He might have had one or two, and he seems, I don't want to say he talks the medical staff out of keeping him out of games, but that to me is what it seems like. Mm-hmm. It seems obvious that he suffers head injuries in some of these games, and yet somehow is able to make it back into the game or not be in the concussion protocol. I don't know what exactly is going on. There's still a bit of mystery to all of this because it's not like a broken wrist where you can take an X-ray and see a line in the bone there. Some of it is, I don't want to say guesswork, but you're sort of reading tea leaves, and he's somehow figured out a way that it doesn't, he's not being diagnosed with concussions. And I don't know how to answer the question. It's just such a fuzzy realm, despite all the attention that it's been given in recent years. But he is dealing currently with yet another very serious family matter. I'm not able to get into it publicly because it hasn't really been released, but it's just yet another tragedy for him that he's dealing with, and you feel for a guy who's had scores of these in his life to this point.
Feel for him, Kyle.
Matt, I wanted to get to Sunday's game real quick before we get out of here. Nick Mullins was announced yesterday as the starter. Do you anticipate that he'll play the whole game if he continues to struggle in the first half like he did in Tampa Bay? And is this the 49ers kind of playing out their QB2 battle for next year during this season?
Yeah, I think so, and I think we'll see this battle in the beginning of next season, or at least the off season. But yeah, I think that whenever you have an outing like you did in Tampa, you're going to have a short leash. So if this game starts out like a lot of games in Seattle have for the 49ers, I can definitely see C.J. Beathard coming in after the half, and it didn't take defenses very long to come up with a game plan, shall we say, for Nick Mullins. I mean, they're forcing him to throw deep and throw to the outside of the field and really test his arm strength. So I expect the Seattle Seahawks to do the same.
Well, and last thing for you, I believe this is that was his third game as a starter?
Yes.
Okay, and the first two, he had some pretty desirable teams that he played against, and it's not like Tampa Bay's defense has been lighting it up, but how much can he and how much maybe can Kyle Shanahan hang their hats on the fact that he didn't have Goodwin and he didn't have Garcon?
Well, a lot, and I think that's one of the reasons why Kyle Shanahan stuck with Mullins for this game. I think there's that. I think there's the fact that he didn't want to get into a situation where he's changing quarterbacks every couple of games. Mullins did play well in his first 2 games. So it would have been unfair to, just give him 1 strike and then you're out. But I do think that he's not going to have very much leeway to make mistakes from here on out.
That's Matt Barrows of The Athletic, doing a fantastic job as always. Make sure you get your Athletic subscription. They've got some great deals going on right now, and a hat in the mail for me at some point. I will sport it. We're doing the video cast now, Matt, so, that's some free advertising for you guys.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Is the hat size also XF?
Fatter.
Fathead. Right, I'm writing this down.
Matt, normal hats look like yarmulkes on me. Let's put it that way. I gotta get the big boys going.
We have yarmulkes. We have athletic yarmulkes.
Oh my God! I will.
For our Jewish friends,
absolutely sport an athletic freaking yarmulke. The good half of me, absolutely perfect, buddy. I appreciate your time as always, and we will talk to you on Wednesday.
All right, anytime, Dave. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Bye bye. That is Matt Barrows. I said Wednesday. I meant Tuesday. Scott Bear will join us tomorrow to talk Raiders. I would totally rock a athletic yarmulke. Are you kidding me? I'll do that. Wonder if he was serious. Do they? I think he was serious. That's awesome.
I think he was joking.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm that gullible. From the 916, and we'll go to break here. Everyone, including you, Dave, knew that Foster was guilty the first go-around. That's a fair statement that normally I'd bat down, but I'll address it super quick. We got a break. Listen, based on Reuben Foster's history when he had issues before he was even drafted, I think it's safe to say you look at that and you go, well, I'm pretty sure he's guilty. But it's the real world, and you're dealing with millions of dollars, and you're dealing with franchises, and it is real easy to sit back and say, oh, they should have known. But they didn't, and there's a difference between think and know. This isn't a defense of Reuben Foster, and if found guilty, or even if he's not found guilty, this is a guy that, at best, the best I can say for him is he is guilty of making really, really, really stupid decisions. And then, of course, the worst I can say about him is that he's a chronic woman beater, and there aren't many crimes in this world worse than that. But the 49ers did due diligence. The media, the police, they all did due diligence. Should they have let him go when they found the weapons? That's an argument. But you can't, to me, say, well, I think he did it. But then when you have the accuser literally recanting everything, saying she was lying to try to ruin his career, that puts you in a very difficult position, not just morally, but also legally. And that's the thing they have to think about. The Niners can't just say, I think he's guilty, we're going to release him. At all. It is a very difficult situation. I think the Niners made the right decision over the weekend. And I feel badly about the wasted talent and somebody else that has thrown away their gifts. But I curb that bad feeling for feeling badly for the victim, or who knows, victims, allegedly, that have gone through this, which should outweigh anything football related. We'll take a break. When we come back, hey, what's that over there? It's Kyle Madson's Cold Hard Facts making their debut in just about a few minutes. You won't want to go away. You want to listen to that next. Sports 1140 KHDK.
Hey, it's Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Texans beat the Titans 34-17 last night in Houston to wrap up Week 12 of the NFL season. The Jaguars announced that Blake Bortles will not start Week 13 for them. That'll be Cody Kessler, as the Jaguars look to spark their offense against the Indianapolis Colts. They'll also be without running back Leonard Fournette, who is suspended for his involvement in a fight during Sunday's loss to the Bills. Fournette is appealing his suspension.
Do you agree with that suspension?
Yeah.
I mean,
he was not in the play and then ran all the way over to take part in the fight.
That was just it was a full-on, like, are they going to suspend everybody? There are a lot. There are a few people
I think it's the fact that he ran over all the way across the field.
What they do with? Have they announced what they did with Shaq Lawson yet? No. Okay, he better get a suspension too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, back to you, Kevin Madson.
This is how we have segments in mid sports update.
That's what we do.
Kevin Durant had 49 points to help the Warriors overcome a 17-point halftime deficit to beat the Magic 116-110. James Harden had a monster game for the Rockets, 54 points, 8 rebounds, and 13 assists. But they lost. The Rockets did 135-131 in overtime to the Wizards. The Jazz were blown out by the Pacers, 121-188. The Hornets beat Milwaukee in Charlotte, 110-107. And the Celtics got back in the win column with a 124-107 win against the Pelicans in New Orleans. The Timberwolves beat the Cavs, and San Antonio beat the Bulls to round out last night's NBA action. It's 8:34. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial up pound 250 and say the word money. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KSGK.
Trucky Ducky Quack Quack.
Here we go. The drive continues now.
Welcome back to the drive. Final half hour. Debuting the segment today. I want to welcome on board Coors Light. Fine sponsor of the program, and will fit in just nicely with the many, many sponsors that we do have and that we appreciate so very much. It is time now for the Kyle Madson Cold Hard Facts of the day. Oh, yeah. You know this, Ben.
I'm not reading them like that.
No, well, we can go. Let me see. We got an old time.
It's like a breaking news. This just in.
We could go.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
You like this? Kyle Madson.
That's a good stuff.
Cold Hard Facts of the Day. Brought to you by our last one here. No, it's too much.
That's a lot. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, all right. We'll go with the Kyle Madson.
What about the Masters thing?
It's time for the Kyle Madson Cold Hard Facts of the Day. Oh, I got it. It's time for the Kyle Madson Cold Hard Facts of the Day, brought to you by Coors Light.
Love a Coors Light.
Kyle, over to you at the Coors Light Cold Hard Fact Desk.
Well, Dave.
No, don't do it.
The Texans won their 8th game in a row last night, 34-17 over the Titans.
They did.
That moved the Texans to 8-3 on the night. They became the first NFL team to rattle off 8 wins in a row after starting the season 0-3.
That seems that's one of those stats that's pretty peculiar considering how long the NFL's been around. My guess is, and I know you don't know this, but my guess is there's probably like a team that's reeled off 9 in a row, a team that's reeled off 10 in a row after 2. No? Really? Wow.
No, yeah.
Okay. Well, that is cold, that is hard, and that is a fact.
You better believe it, buddy. We saw the 2 highest completion rates in the history of the NFL in Week 12. Phillip Rivers completed 96.6% of his 29 throws in a Chargers win over the Cardinals.
Okay. Remember that.
And then in last night's game, Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota completed 95.7% of his 23 attempts in their loss to the Texans.
That's pretty good.
It's really decent.
And Mariota's miss, much like Rivers' miss, was a little dump off.
Yeah.
Just a tiny little dump off. Now, Rivers got hit on the throw. I don't think Mariota did, but gosh, what a performance and a loss.
Yeah, really incredible by both of them.
Okay.
On this date in 1941.
Oh, great year.
Yeah. 22-year-old Ted Williams was robbed of the American League MVP by Joe DiMaggio.
Why was he robbed?
Because check out his stat line. He hit .406. He had a .553 on base percentage, a .735 slugging percentage. He had a league-high 37 homers. He had 120 driven in. It was the first of 4 MVP runner-ups for Ted Williams.
Wow.
DiMaggio hit .357 with a .440 on base, a .643 slugging. He hit 30 homers, drove in 125. The difference, he had a 56-game hitting streak.
I would say East Coast bias, but Ted played in Boston, but New
Probably
York
helped
bias.
that DiMaggio was beloved by the media, while Williams had a more contentious relationship with that group.
You know what else Ted Williams did that was pretty cool? He flew planes.
This was before that. This was 1940.
Whatever.
This is before.
Just saying. Okay.
Number 4. I have 5 cold hard facts today.
Good to know. Cold hard facts with Kyle Madson, everybody. Brought to you by Coors Light.
Coors Light. Love a Coors Light.
Love a Coors Light.
James Harden had his 5th career game. This is via ESPN Stats and Info. James Harden had his 5th career game last night with 50 points and 10 assists. No other player in history has more than 3. And it marks the 5th consecutive season that Harden has had a 50-point game. The only player in NBA history with a longer streak is Wilt Chamberlain.
That's pretty good company to be in. But that was back when Wilt Chamberlain was scoring, 80 points a game.
Averaging 50.
Against the Sears stock boy.
Uh-huh.
That's fine. James Harden's very good at scoring.
So Amari Cooper had a great game on Thursday.
This is the final cold hard fact?
Yeah, final cold hard fact.
Gotcha.
Amari Cooper with the Raiders had 22 catches for 280 yards and a touchdown in 6 games. In 4 games with the Cowboys, he has 22 receptions, 349 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
What?
And it's had the desired effect on Dak Prescott, who prior to Amari Cooper was completing 62.1% of his throws for about 202 yards a game. He had 8 touchdowns and 4 picks, good for an 87.4 rating. That was in 7 games. In 4 games with Amari Cooper, he's completing 70% of his throws for 252.5 yards. He has 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 102.4 rating.
Wow. That's Amari.
Dallas was 3-4 prior to the trade. They're now 6-5.
That's pretty good. They're on a roll.
And those are the cold hard facts.
Cold hard facts. Brought to you by Coors Light.
The locking.
Yeah, I think we're getting production for this tomorrow.
That'd be great.
I've got a couple since we have time. I'll do this every time.
Make
if we have time.
Yeah.
Couple of can I do extra cold hard fact?
Yeah, Dave's
No.
lukewarm.
These are facts. Banging your head against a wall for 1 hour burns 150 calories.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a fact. In Switzerland, it's illegal to own just one guinea pig.
So, hey, speaking of which, what's the update on Brandon?
Brandon didn't happen. You're talking about Brandon, formerly Steph Curry.
Steph
Furry, whatever.
Steph Curry is my cat.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Steph Furry. Yeah, it didn't happen. We just kind of waited it out. I think we bribed her with something. I don't know. Guinea pigs, dude, just make giant messes. By the way,
Brandon the guinea pig is
the next animal we get, we will be naming it on the air, and that will happen very soon. By the way, guinea pigs are social animals, and they're considered victims of abuse if they're alone in Switzerland. That's why you can't just have a guinea pig. You have to have multiple ones. Do you know what a flock of crows is called?
Murder.
That is correct. The oldest your mom joke was discovered on a 3,500-year-old Babylonian tablet in Iraq in 1976. I don't have the joke in front of me, which is unfortunate. And finally,
your mother dost thou.
That's like 35. It wasn't in medieval England, dude. It was 3,500 years ago. It was, but you're right. It was in some sort of thing that was.
It was a dinosaur.
Right. Last time I heard that joke, I fell off my pet dinosaur and broke my wooden underwear. So, like, what, a year ago?
Oh, snap!
Yeah, back in. I heard it back in *39.
I remember the last time I heard that joke. I laughed so hard I fell off my dinosaur. No, literally, I fell.
Like it's right there.
I was
his
riding
name's Chuck.
His name's Brandon.
And finally, 7% of American adults believe
in Santa Claus.
Even better, because, of course, as we know, Santa Claus is real.
Right.
7% of American adults believe
93% of adults don't get presents on Christmas. That's brutal.
That chocolate milk comes from brown cows.
Stop.
No,
stop.
You stop. 7% doesn't sound like a lot, Kyle, but that actually works out to almost 20 million American adults. Probably the same that think the world is flat.
No.
The world is flat, and chocolate milk comes from brown cows.
That makes me angry.
We'll take a break. When we come back, hopefully.
You know who thinks that? That Laker fan who said that the number after 0 was going to be less than 0.
Did we ever play that?
We didn't.
Oh, we'll play that audio next, and we have What's on Tap. What's on Tap's going to be quite short. What's on Tap tonight?
We're looking at it.
Yeah, I guess. We're back in a couple. Sports 1140 KHTK. All right, What's on Tap? Brought to you by. Come on, Kyle. You got it.
Freezers.
Dude.
Let me amend that.
I can do freezers.
Ice chests.
Okay. Ice chests. Remember when you wanted to take all those popsicles to the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, used to suck because you'd have to eat them all before you got there because without an ice chest, all you've got is fruit soup.
Which is gross.
Terrible. Ice chests. Get yours today.
Come over later for some fruit soup.
What's that you say? It's fruit soup. Not a lot on tap today. There's no Kings game. There's no football. You do have a basketball schedule going on, highlighted by the Raptors visiting the Memphis Grizzlies, the hated Lakers taking on the Nuggets. I'll throw one note in here, something that might be quite fun to watch. The Nevada Wolfpack, number 5 in the nation, led by ex-Kings coach Eric Musselman. They are off to a 6-0 start, and many believe are a dark horse favorite. Can you be a dark horse favorite? Aren't you either a favorite or a dark horse? They're one of those to surprise people in the NCAA tournament. They're taking on Loyola of Chicago. Remember them? Remember Loyola of Chicago, the Cinderella story last season, the team that had they just, beaten Michigan would have won me a ton of money? Yeah, them. Yeah, them. They're 4-2. They're 4-2 right now. So I think they lost to Furman the other night. So they're recovering from that. But Nevada, Loyola, Chicago, a couple of schools that aren't generally regarded as big time. It's not Duke, it's not Kentucky, it's not even Florida State, but a couple of fun schools that are easy to root for. So that's happening all tonight at 5:00 p.m. Kyle, I have one more fact that I didn't even throw in.
So is this a warm, soft fact?
I would say yes, it's a warm, soft fact. I don't know if that name's going to stick.
Nope.
I find this fascinating, and I saw this during the break. Freddie Mercury and Paul McCartney used the same piano to record Bohemian Rhapsody and Hey Jude. That is fascinating to me. When you think about how iconic, there are people out there that believe either one of those songs to be the greatest song ever recorded.
Yeah.
I've heard these opinions. They were recorded on the same piano. If I'm a musician, I'm tracking down that piano and trying to record everything on it.
It's like Bohemian Rhapsody or Hey Jude, like flip those two if you want.
Yeah.
And then like Come Get Her by Ray Shremmerd.
Easily.
Top 3.
Easily. Maybe, what else would I throw in there? Life Is Too Short off of his debut album.
Good point. Yep.
I would also throw in
Return of the Mac.
That's a
by
great
Mark Morrison.
one. Gangsta Gangsta. It's not about the salary. It's all about reality, by the way. Don't forget that from NWA.
I couldn't agree more.
And then maybe Werewolves of London by Coldplay. I think those are widely considered, all the ones we just talked about. Those are the greatest
those
songs
are the
of all
like
time.
that's the core. You can order them however you want. That's the top tier though.
I called out the text line earlier for not being that great yesterday. They've made it up a little bit today. We were talking about how the oldest your mom joke was found on a tablet in Iraq in 1976. From the 916, hashtag your mum jokes. Also, hashtag, not a hashtag, from the 916, your mama's so fat her last name is Asaurus. That's I find that pretty good.
That's really good.
As it, because dinosaur and all that. We told you before the break.
Hey, Yo Mama's so old that she was the subject of the first Yo Mama joke. Got him. Next joke.
How do you recover from that one? Basically, you're exiled from the kingdom if you got burned that hard. You're not allowed to come back. I love that all I had to do was put Laker fan in Twitter search to come up with this. We told you about this, and you've probably, I'm sure you've seen it. This was during a quarter break during a recent Laker game. This happened over the weekend. And, the Kings will do this too. Every team does it. You do these, hey, brought to you by blah, blah, blah casino, and here's make a couple baskets or answer this trivia question.
Can we pick a casino?
Let's pick Capital Casino.
Let's just
Sacramento's number one poker room. I don't know if you knew that or not. Just listen in. And I like to call this clip absolutely typical Laker fan. I think that's the official title.
ATL.
ATL. Here we go.
Pechanga Resort and Casino. I'm here with our lucky contestant, David, who will have 30 seconds to guess if the next card shown will be higher or lower than the first card shown at the table.
This is you.
If David guesses all these correctly, he will win a Pechanga getaway package. David, are you ready? Let's get started. Higher or lower than 0?
Okay, so let me set this up. There are 5 cards up on a video board that everybody can see.
On a fake poker table.
On a fake poker table. David's job is simply to say if the next card will be higher or lower than the card that has just been revealed. The first card revealed is 0.
So it's got the player, it's Kyle Kuzma with a number 0.
Yes. Now, I take a little bit of exception because there's no card that is 0.
Right, which is why I specified what the card was.
But the important thing to understand, the first card is 0. There's nothing below 0.
And it's not, they're doing this with jersey numbers.
Yes.
That's the important bit here, is that this is jersey numbers.
All right.
Because there's inevitably somebody, you can go negative.
Right.
But you can't because it's jersey numbers. Keep going.
And we like to keep it positive, Kyle.
Started. Higher or lower than 0?
Lower.
Wait, what? Hold on. Higher or lower than 0? Kyle, you didn't just say lower, did he? Let's listen again.
Higher or lower than 0?
Lower.
Oh boy.
Lower. Well. All right, it looks.
The next card. Now, a couple of things I want everybody to. These are my favorite parts of this. Number 1, the next card revealed was 3. Obviously, he lost. Secondly, I really enjoy the awkward silence where she doesn't know what to say.
Dude, they were like, hey, this is money in the bank. We'll start it with 0. Then we'll go from there.
You can hear the crowd kind of start to roar like, what are you doing? And then here's the best part. And I don't want to pick on her. We really want to pick on him, but I'm going to pick on her a tiny bit. She's so locked into the segment that she kind of half-ass blurts out at the end like the tagline she has to do, which is, oh, looks like your luck's run out, and blah, blah, blah. Here's the read for the casino. Watch and listen, or should I say listen again?
Oh. All right, it looks like your luck right now. Thank you so much for playing tonight's Pechanga High-Low game brought to you by Pechanga Resort and...
Your luck ran out. Your luck ran out. No, your brain ran out on you.
So was he was either inebriated,
Oh, he was probably high.
missed the point of the game, or didn't want to be on camera and was just like, I'm going to win if I get this wrong.
Okay,
So,
I will knock out the last one because they give these people a choice as to whether or not they go on or not. So he
Okay,
fully
that's
could have
fair.
said no.
Okay, that's fair.
I will allow for the fact was he trying to do a bit. But I find that also hard to believe because fans love anything as a
Yep.
prize.
Yep.
Laker fan. Gotta love it. Matt Barrows joined us on the Firewings Hotline. We appreciate him. Eunice always does a great job producing the show. You can check it out on the KHTK YouTube channel, as well as all our archived audio shows at KHTK.com. So for Eunice, for Kyle Madson, I'm Carmichael Dave. Jim Rome is next. Enjoy the rest of your broadcast day right here on Sports 1140 KHTK. Bye now.
Trucky Ducky Quack Quack.